Welcome to the Play Ratings. Today, Lou and I were discussing yesterday's 1-0 victory over Ipswich Town. Very important goal by Sarr to take Palace one step closer to what we hope will be a European dream. Again, if you like the show, please remember to like and subscribe. We appreciate all of your support. There'll be some content during the break, but that'll be coming mostly from D. I'm going to take a golf and take a break for a while. Probably Lou too. So. Lou, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Didn't get to the game, but I've done a live watch along. Thanks for anyone that watched that and joined us. It was tense. You could probably see all my emotions throughout, from despair to stress to just accepting that we weren't going to win to bedroom limbs when Sarr scored. But yeah, I think obviously the previous 3 games are really important, but after winning the 3, there was winning this game was very, very important to propel our season. Going into a 3-week break off 4 wins, 3 at home, some warm weather training, it's just perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I want to shout out to Calcio Call on Instagram. He mentioned yesterday in a stat that last time we played Ipswich, it was a 6-pointer. We were joint level on points, and now we're 22 points ahead of them. It shows the levels that we've gone to in 2025. Shout out, obviously, to the manager and the players. But yeah, like you, to me, yesterday was all about getting those points and getting, moving on as far as getting our goals. So that was important. I put the stats up really quick on the match yesterday. Possession wise, Palace 55%, Ipswich 45%. But the shot totals for a 1-0 game: 19 shots for Palace, 15 for Ipswich, 4 on target for Palace, 8 for Ipswich Town. I thought that McKenna, and I want to give credit to Ipswich now because I thought that they frustrated us. They came to get something out of the match. I thought McKenna did a great job of setting up. I thought Delap gave Lacroix a run, and I thought Kajus played really well in midfield. But before we get individual performances, do you have any thoughts on Ipswich's performance yesterday to give him credit for that?
Yeah, I've watched the extended highlights twice, the ones on Sky and then the ones on the Palace website, and I'm really impressed with the way McKenna set up. They really disrupted our forward passing, forced us into a few long balls that we didn't really want to play. The press was good from our goal kicks. They done a good job on stopping Wharton, especially after the first minute. They saw that and said, okay, we can't let this guy get on the ball. I thought they were great in the duels. I thought first and second phases, they competed really well. I thought like their defense done really well. They limited us to, I would say, half chances. They weren't really, we accumulated quite a lot of XG, but there weren't like real clear cut chances throughout the game. If anything, they probably deserved a point. And I think it wasn't as much as we were poor, but they set up really well. And I want to give McKenna credit and Ipswich credit for the performance at Palace yesterday.
Totally agree with you. They deserve more credit than people have given them. So let's go into individual performances. Let's start with the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. Both gave him an 8. Again, funny thing is, the last couple of matches that he played in, Fulham and Villa, we won. But he didn't have much to do. But I had to give him credit for yesterday. I thought he did a really good job in keeping that clean sheet. 9th of the season for him. Big saves for me early on Philogene. As they lost the ball, 23rd minute, he had a great save on Enciso. Had a great save later on Enciso and another one on Delap. I think the Delap one was brilliant. The one at the near post with one hand that he saved for a corner. The XG was 1.63. He had 7 saves. He was 23 for 33 on accurate passes. So he did a really good job. You had to give him credit. So, but what are your thoughts on Dean Henderson yesterday?
I think you've covered most of it there. I think he's really unlucky not to get man of the match because he's probably the best player or joint yesterday. He also prevented 1.9 goals. And if you do that and get a clean sheet, really, if someone hasn't scored a hat-trick or had an amazing game, you should get man of the match. So I don't want to say joint man of the match, but yeah, unbelievable performance. And we don't win without Hendo yesterday.
Agree 100%. Right wing back, Danny Munoz. Both gave him a 7. Your thoughts on Danny Munoz yesterday?
I thought it was quite a tough game for him yesterday in the sense that they knew that he was a threat. So they done a lot to try and negate him. Plus, Leif Davis is also a good left wing back, but a lot of our chances and play did come through him. He was really good on the press. A lot of the time I saw there was a few times where he got there and won the ball, and a lot of our players wasn't anticipating him getting there. So it was a good performance, solid performance, another clean sheet if you consider him a defender, but I don't really consider him as a defender. He's so up the pitch, and you can see by his heat map, he spends a lot of the time in the final third. So typical Danny Munoz performance. There was a bit where he nicked the ball, nearly scored a goal. With his goal scoring, and recently he had all right to go for goal. He could have slotted it to Sarr, but that's probably me nitpicking. But yeah, great performance, and luckily Sarr got the goal straight after, so it didn't really mean anything to miss.
Yeah, you're right. I thought Leif Davis gave him a bit of a run, but I thought he did really well. Create some chances, like you said. He had to lay off the Lerma on the shot that Lerma had wide. He had a great one-on-one tackle versus Menciso to stop a breakaway, which is really important. About the 28th minute. Probably should have scored you right on that play, but we had a discussion. I mean, I take that shot because he steals the ball, but I understand why people think he maybe should have laid off the Sarr. But the stats wise, passing was very good for him. 37 out of 49. 11 recoveries, 3 interceptions, and 2 clearances. But again, solid by him yesterday.
Yeah.
Other wing back, Ty Mitchell, 6.5 on both of us. I'll go first. I thought that he played well defensively. He didn't do as well going forward. Passing wasn't great, 19 out of 26. So he didn't get on the ball as much, and he was subbed off at 71st minute. Going forward again, he had one play when he had time. He beat
Philogene
player Philogene and had a time the cross ball. He overshoots the ball by 20 yards. Very frustrating because he did a great job to get around Philogene. But again, I just thought that it wasn't a great performance by Ty yesterday. But your thoughts? But he was part of a clean sheet, so I'll give him that. Your thoughts on Ty yesterday?
Well, he's won most of his ground duels. He's lost possession. Probably it's only 12. If you go through our team, there's a much higher turnover of possession from other players. He didn't commit one foul. 3 clearances, 4 tackles. It was a good, solid performance. I think the fact that we win 1-0 gets him up to a 6.5. I think if we draw or lose, it might drop a little bit, but he didn't do anything bad. He didn't do anything great. But then when Chilwell came on, I don't think Chilwell changed the game too much. He might have changed the dynamic of the setup, but he didn't.
Right.
Chilwell was having problems with Hutchinson. I don't think Mitchell has those sort of issues with Hutchinson at all. Hutchinson barges Chilwell off the ball. I don't think that really rarely happens to Mitchell. Also, he skinned him as well, and he got the yellow card. I think defensively, once we got the goal, we probably would have swapped Mitchell back on.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
It was solid, man. I'm happy with his performance. He can get a nice rest now as well.
Yeah, and well deserved rest, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Mark Gahey, 7.5 from both of us. Why don't you go first on the Mark Gahey performance yesterday?
Listen, you could copy every single match ratings and just probably use the same clip because he's just class above. Great performance. Didn't have much to do. I thought his press when he who was he playing against? Was it Philogene was playing there? Philogene didn't really give him much to do. Hutchinson, I remember in the second half tried to square him up. There's no chance he's getting past Gahey. He's a great 1v1 defender. Flawless performance. He didn't really have much to do. I think most of their threat probably came down the left-hand side, not much down the right. Solid, man.
Yeah, and interesting, in the build-up, he wasn't used as much because he had the least amount of touches of any outfield player in 49. Yeah. But you're right, just solid. A solid 7.5, 8, 34 out of 40, passing 85%. He had 2 out of 5 ground duels won, 3 clearances, 3 recoveries. Did commit 2 fouls and got that yellow card, which I know upset him very much, but I thought he was very solid yesterday. So the back 3 again. And I just want to add, that's the 7th clean sheet that he's had with Richards and Lacroix this season. 7 clean sheets over the course. So we're talking about from December on. So I mean, those three have been brilliant. So let's get to the second of that back three. Alexander Lacroix, I gave him a 7. You gave him a 7. I'll go first. I just thought that Delap, who's a handful and the best of times, gave him a run yesterday, but it shows you that how good Lacroix has been, because it's rare that we say that X player has played well against Lacroix, and Delap gave him was really tough. He was beaten by him in the 4th minute. He 5 out of 10 long balls, which he tried a lot more. 7 clearances, 2 recoveries. Passing was down for him, 32 out of 42. But again, my main thing is I just thought that Delap gave him a hard time, but he did keep him off the scoring sheet yesterday. But your thoughts on Lacroix yesterday?
Because when I was at the Ipswich away game, I thought Lacroix dealt with Delap. Delap didn't really get a sniff, so Delap kind of came with a vengeance yesterday.
Point to prove.
Yeah. And Lacroix's 2 main attributes are pace and strength, and Delap tested them to the limit yesterday, because he shrugged him off, rolled him, and then was gone. He was a handful, but at the end of the day, it's a clean sheet. Delap hasn't scored, and we've won the game, so it's a solid 7 for me.
Yeah. The third centre half, again, a player who could have been man of the match, Chris Richard. We both gave him an 8. Your thoughts on Chris Richard's performance yesterday?
89% pass completion yesterday. 40 out of 45 passes.
Yep.
The one attribute that we said lacked from his game, he's improved so much. Again, I'm happy to be in the camp that was happy for him to fill in for Chalobah and happy for him to play his way into form. And boy, has he played his way into form to a different level. I would say him and Henderson were the best players yesterday. His reading, his bravery, his tackling, just all flawless yesterday. And they have been, he's been I dare say, an upgrade on Chalobah the last few games, because the team have just been on, especially defense, have been on a great run. And he's slowly becoming one of my favorite Palace players. His personality, I think he's from America, but if he was to take him anywhere and put him in a different area, he would have fitted South London perfectly. I just love everything about him, man. He's a great person to have around the dressing room, and he's worked so hard because he's been in and out of teams. He's been doubted, and now he's an established Premier League player, and no one can take that away from him.
Yeah. You know how I feel about him. I mean, I love the post-match interview with him. Again, he fits in so well. He's always over there celebrating. He's just part of a really great back three. I wondered when Chalobah left what would happen, because I know what Chris is good at and what he's not good at, but he has shown that when he shows his best attributes, it's great. Look at the stats here. Top performing players, 40 out of 45 passing. There he is. 10 duels won. There's Chris Richards. 7 tackles. There's Chris Richards. Just a very solid game yesterday. He was, again, very impressive. And again, I mentioned before, that's the 7th clean sheet that Lacroix and Gahey have been a part of this season. Just been great. And again, we all were worried about, what would happen when Chalobah was gone, what attributes, what could he do? But no, you got to give credit to Chris Richards, done really, really well. So credit to him. Next, we'll go with Jefferson Lerma. Both gave him a 6. My overwhelming thought about him again is the passing. I love what Jefferson Lerma can do. He harries other players. He's important for breaking up play. But there were so many times that he could just make a simple pass and he just couldn't do it. Even Darren Ambrose, who was on comms, was mentioning it. She was saying, and I've been there before, just sometimes just make a simpler pass, Stats were 25 for 40 for 62% passing. He did have a shot that Munoz set him up for, but defensively, again, which is why he's probably in there for. Great job. 4 out of 5 aerial duels won. 5 out of 8 ground duels won. 4 clearances, 4 headed clearances, 2 interceptions, 7 recoveries. Defensively, very, very good. That's why he's in there for, but I just wish he would do a little bit better on the passing. What's your thoughts on Jefferson Lerma yesterday?
I think he covered it completely. First half, his passing was well off to 25 out of 40 accurate passes in the Premier League's midfield pivot is not good enough. You're not breaking any lines. The turnover of possession is too high. But again, Wharton ran out of steam. So luckily we had Lerma who can run and jump for 90 minutes.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and yeah, we won 1-0. He wasn't great, but listen, solid. He gives 6 to 8 out of 10 every week, and
He does.
sometimes knowing what you're going to get from a player every week is fine. And he's been a integral part of our season because he's always there when we need him. If he needs to fill in, if he needs to go to centre back, if we need to win more ground duels, more aerial duels, that's fine. But yeah, Jeff, just keep it simple, man. 1-2 touch.
Right. And you know what? Funny enough, I'm thinking about that, and I'm not trying to jinx it, but I got a funny feeling he's going to play centre back at some point and be key for us. I don't know why I keep thinking that, but I keep thinking to myself, I know I moan about the passing, but he did such a great job last year as a filler that. And again, I'm not trying to jinx him. I just have a funny feeling there's going to be a match where he's going to go in and set up and play really, really well. We're going to say that's why Jefferson Lerma is so key to our team. Forget moaning about the passing part. So, but again, we'll see. Next is a midfield partner, Adam Wharton. I gave him a 7, gave him 7.5. Why don't you go for us on the Oracle?
Tough day for Wharton today.
It was.
Because do you know what? I think same way with Eddie, we spoke about that chance probably fell to him too early. Wharton probably displayed something too good too soon. And they was like, we cannot let this guy get his head up at all. And he lost the ball 21 times yesterday. But Glasner always talks about playing forward, trying the right pass, trying to break lines, be positive. And that's what he done all game. He run out of steam towards the end. But listen, it's a line-breaking pass for our goal. I know it's a simple pass to some people, but it's an accurate pass into Kamada that sets up the goal. Yeah, he's lacking a little bit of match fitness because he couldn't. I think there was a phase of the game towards the end where I saw him running and he just couldn't. His legs weren't even. It was like how you run in your dream. He was just so tired, man. He done everything he could. But again, I feel like he was getting on the ball and we was kind of relying on him to kind of produce a great pass, and Ipswich probably set up to stop him dictating. And then, like I said, that pass in the first couple of minutes. Listen, he gets the 0.5 just for that pass outside of the left foot. Outside of the left foot, completely takes out 4 players. It's unheard of for us to have a midfielder who can do that. But yeah. I'm biased, innit? I admit I am a Wharton bias.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fine. But I mean, that pass was brilliant to Nketiah. And the funny thing, I kind of was tracking him. Beginning the game, the first time he was 9 out of 11. He only misplaced 2 passes. Something happened where either if people figured him out, and all of a sudden, you're right, there's percentages went down. He was 33 out of 50. I mean, lost a lot of passes, but that's not a much higher percentage than what Lerma had, No. But he created 6 chances, and you're right. I think having Lerma there for him to kind of what we're gonna water carry, let's just call it for lack of a better term, really helped him yesterday because I think you're right. He hasn't played. Remember, he hasn't played that much since that injury. He's coming back into it. So I thought that he did a really good job in creating chances, but the passing just wasn't there. But again, we need him. Obviously, he's very key to how we did. And again, just have him on that pitch to be that that fear factor for other teams is very important. So again, I'm one. So let's move on to our number 10. We'll start with Ebbs. 6.5 from me, 6 from you. I'll go first. I thought it was I wrote down on my piece of paper, very quiet early. Had lost some duels. He lost like 4 early duels. I think we're trying a little bit too hard yesterday to create for Eddie. I mean, that might be just me reading into it. He did have a lot of shots. He had a couple of shots that were deflected. That was it Palmer, right? The goalkeeper. Alex Palmer was the goalkeeper. Made a couple of nice saves on him. Had a free kick. Stats wise, let me just pull that up real quick. He was, let me see, Ebbs. 21 out of only 27 passes, 70%. Did have 6 shots, 53 touches, successful dribbles 4 out of 6. Passes into the final third, only 3. 5 of his shots were blocked, which is crazy. He just couldn't get his shot off. 5 out of 10 ground duels, 1. It wasn't the best performance for Ebbs yesterday. He was a factor at points towards the second half. In the first half, was very quiet. But what are your thoughts on Eze yesterday?
Yes, he had a few moments that could have taken him to an 8-9, but they just didn't come off. It's a great block in the first half from the ball from Eddie, but shot was going well wide, by the way. That was going well wide. The thing is with Eze, sometimes it's like, if he'd done the Eze thing and taken one more touch to the right, those Ipswich defenders hit into each other and he's got a tap in, but he kind of took it quite early. But listen, if he there was no wrong taking an extra touch and taking it early. But listen, they were there. I'm splitting hairs here. The one where he brings it down and sends two of their players onto his left foot and he drags it. It just kind of wasn't.
That one with the goal of the year. If he made that,
it just wasn't his day. And the bit that really frustrated me was the free kick, and then he tried to go past the player and nearly lost us the game in transition there. With the free kick, and and he had a simple pass to Wharton or Munoz and decided to try and knock it past the Ipswich player. But yeah, it wasn't terrible, because really and truly most of our threatening stuff came through him, and a lot of our play went through him. But they done a really good job. They were doubling up on him. Listen, 6 out of 10. He's another one that can have a rest now, and hopefully big push at the other side of the break.
I agree. Definitely the rest. He could use it. When we go to Marbella, he'll be in the sun, do some training, but I don't expect to see him in that practice match. He'll probably get called up for England, I'm guessing. Or maybe not.
No.
Right, he won't get called up. Yeah, so he'll get a good rest, so that'll be good. So
he doesn't deserve it either.
Yeah, you're right. Based on how he's played this year, and it's a new manager, too cool.
Well, they got Wanieri, Rogers. They got loads of players, man.
Players. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Ismail Sarr, 8 from both of us, man of the match. Why don't you go first on Sarr, and I'll follow up with what you think about him.
So I don't think Sarr was all round better than Henderson and Richards, but that moment was what was needed. The game lacked someone to take it by the scruff of the neck and produce a bit of quality. And there was a moment about 10-15 minutes before he had the header. Then he had that moment where he pushed it past Greaves and hit it to the back post, where just before Eze had the bit where he brought it down. And I was like, that's what I want to see from Sarr, that electric pace. And Waters played the ball into Kamada. We got his lovely layoff to Kamada, by the way. One touch.
He was.
I like to see the 1-2 touch passing.
Yeah.
And then it breaks to him. And that 5-yard acceleration is just electric. He is gone. Like the defender can't get anywhere near him. Then the composure to just dink it perfectly into the top corner. It's a finish of the highest quality. And for me, that game needed a moment. And if you produce that moment, that's why I'm giving him man of the match, because he was the only man on the pitch who produced that moment. But I don't think he was the best player all round. But just for that moment, I've got to give it to him, because that was the most important moment of the game.
I'm with you 100%. What a really good finish. Funny, when he got moved to centre forward by Glasgow, we'll get to the manager in a bit after we get to Nketiah. I was like, wow, it makes sense because we don't really have any options. But I'm like, okay, he's got speed, he can go in. But the finish is so good. It reminds me of the finish that Mateta had against Ipswich, a little dink, very similar. The celebration is fantastic. To go over and kick the flag, you love that, showing that the respect to Mateta. It's just a great goal, and I want to go back to another moment. He also had it clear off the line earlier in the match was important. So he didn't have a lot of moments in the game, but that moment, those two moments, the stop of the goal and then the goal, the finish was great. And you're right, in the build-up was such a nice little give and go 1-2 with Kamada, etc. It was nice. I mean, but again, class finish, class goal, and again, it wasn't like he had an outstanding game. But again, I had to give it. I'm a person that believes in moments in football, and that moment was so important. Again, he got the 3 points. It was a very gritty, determined Ipswich team, and it was a great goal by. So what is that now? 7 goals this season.
He's got 8 goals, 3 assists.
8 goals. I mean,
£10 million.
I would have taken that as a final number. I think we've got another third of the season to go, and he can get maybe double digits. Is mad. So now
to have potentially 2 players on double figures is a sign of a great season.
Yeah, it doesn't happen for Palace very often yet. 100% right. So again, he was both of our man of the matches. I think I didn't check the website. I'm sure he got it for the club, but it might have been Henderson. I'll double check in a second.
Yeah.
But next striker Eddie Nketiah, 6.5 from me, 6 from you. Basically, I just think that the goal the opportunity he had came a little bit too early for him in the game. I thought he really worked hard in the pressing, was trying to link up with Ebbs. I think he put a ball into Ebbs, right, for an opportunity in the
That
game.
was a great ball.
It was a great ball by him. But I just think that the opportunity came too early. Passing, actually, which wasn't great against Millwall, I remember, was 11 out of 14. He had 3 shots on goal. He did have to create that chance for Ebbs. He worked really hard. It just didn't come off for him. But I just think that it's going to take time. You know, you brought up a great point during the previous show that should we look to play a little differently? And I think we have to, because you can clearly see that had there been Mateta, Graves would not have been able to really physically do that to Mateta, and he was able to do that in Nketiah. It's not his fault, but he doesn't have the body of Mateta. But I just thought the hard work was there for Nketiah. He could have scored a goal, but it just wasn't his day yesterday. He was subbed off. But what are your thoughts on Nketiah yesterday?
I thought he worked really hard. Could have easily had an assist from Eze, because why it's a great ball is because he could have easily just laid it out to Eze when he was on the left, but he waits for Eze to make that run inside, and there's a perfectly weighted pass. I think that the chance at the start knocked his confidence a bit, because it's such a great chance early on, and he's got to hit it just a millisecond before. But like we said, that the football matches, especially in the Premier League, are split hairs, man. It's a game of small inches, and it was a tough day for him. He worked really hard, and I feel sorry for him. Obviously, I'm happy Palace won, but the fact that it was him coming out and Sarr going up top, and then us winning the game probably doesn't help even more. I think it didn't highlight Eddie's negatives. It highlighted how good JP is.
Yes. That's exactly. It's not a put down on him. It's just how good JP is, and you're right about
JP is probably one of the most informed players in Europe. It's hard to come in and replace him. He just, like you said, I said it in a preview. He just doesn't occupy defenders how Mateta does. The defenders do not want to play against Mateta. He's horrible. Even you saw what he done to Bassey's one of the strongest defenders in the league. He had Bassey rattled. He's just horrible. He's a wind-up. You can't be a wind-up at 5'9" like Eddie. But at 6'4" and a goal threat and quick and powerful, you can wind up defenders all day. You can get your elbow in. You can back in. You can just make it horrible. Just Eddie can't do that. So I don't know. I think from that viewing, it's probably more likely that the next time JP can't carry on or he gets a knock, it would probably be Sarr up top.
Interesting. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see what happens. But like I said, I think we have to tweak how we play a little bit. But again,
I do think that as well. I think maybe he's got to play in a 2.
And that could really benefit Nketiah too. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So we
play
did that.
with JP.
I remember Leicester, right? Was it Leicester? We did that.
I think maybe where we have to roll the dice, it will have to be a chance where Eddie and JP play together, and maybe that thrives, and then all of a sudden it opens up something else. So
exactly. Go to the subs real quick. There wasn't much. Chilwell both game of 6. I didn't think he did anything great, but he's different again. He just plays differently than Ty. He's much higher up the pitch, inverted into the midfield. I saw him at one point right next to the striker, which is amazing. I don't know why he's so high up the pitch. I think it was either 1-0. But anyway, do you have any thoughts on Chilwell yesterday?
No, not really. He had Hudson gave him a bit of a problem, but it was tough. Like I said, as a sub coming on in such tight games, it is hard. Right. And Ipswich I think Ben Johnson's a really strong, good right wing back / right back. I actually wanted Ben Johnson because I think he's quite versatile and he gives good backup across the pitch. But not much to speak about.
Kamada both gave me 6, but I will say 7 out of 8 passing. But I will say he had a shot that was blocked, and he also, to me, he's part of the goal. I mean, Walker, he's part of the 1-2. I mean, and without that build-up play, we don't score the goal. But again, he comes into a game. We win the game. I mean, he's not getting a lot of minutes, but I think when he comes in, he's not hurting himself. But what are your thoughts on Kamada yesterday?
Yeah, that bit was pivotal. He got the little lucky deflection, but it was good link-up play. He came off. I think Sarr doesn't have that sort of run, trying to make that in between the lines. So it was a great substitution, and all that matters is that sub. He made that sub, and he was part of the goal. So I don't care
Exactly.
what he done other than that. That happened.
I agree. Didn't get an assist, but you know,
I don't care. He was part of it.
Part of it, exactly. So, and the other two subs, Justin Venny,
Yeah.
and Essay both got on. Again, I'm glad they're getting minutes, important time, because the game was only a 1-0 game at the time, but didn't really have much to do with much time. But let's get to the manager. Now, I originally gave him a 9.5 or 9.5. You gave him a 10, but I switched it to a 10 because when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, well, what did you do wrong? And it was nothing. Lineup wise, starting Wharton made sense with Lerma. And Ketty obviously had to come in for JP. So lineup wise was fine. Tactically, again, would I like to see a little tweak for Nketiah? Yeah, but again, I don't know what exactly he can do. Your idea of a two makes a lot of sense to me, so maybe that. But Eddie by himself is a different player. He runs in behind. He's a little bit quicker, fox in the box type player. I thought that was fine. But I'll give him credit, the 10, for the subs. The sub of Nketiah, and he looked disappointed when he came off, was a masterstroke because I wouldn't have thought to put Sarr in there. I know when Sarr came, I mean, Mehdi talked about, yeah, he compares a 9. I'm like, he's not really a 9, but yesterday, man, to put him in that position and for him to get that goal when he did was brilliant by the manager. Really, really was. I mean, I just thought that was the pivotal part that won us those 3 points. That move of Nketiah off and then Sarr up top was brilliant by Glasner. Something I wouldn't have thought to do. Honestly, I would have given Eddie the 90 minutes, see what he can do. So that was brilliant. So I can't not give him a 10. But and our form I looked at the form table again. I think it's ridiculous. 75% of the games he won so far in 2025. He's been, listen, man, Glass is brilliant. But your thoughts on Glass before we end the show?
Yeah, listen, same as always. Unbelievable, great substitutions. I said in the preview, I said at halftime that I didn't really know how to approach the game without JP and Hughes. Like I said it, I looked at our bench. Everyone was screaming for SA. Frank, I put these people on. I didn't know because I understand the Sarr theory. He's big, strong, quick. He can cause but is that the right move? It looks like the right move on paper, but is it the right move? And it was a brave decision. Really I was clueless on how to change this game. I thought Ipswich set up perfectly. And you know what? He's pulled it out the bag again. And credit to Glasner for making this team they're so durable. They're together. The fact that they kept believing and he installs that into the team. Yeah, 10 out of 10, man.
Yeah. Well, that's it for the play ratings of Palace 1, Ipswich 0. Thanks for joining us. Again, please be sure to like and subscribe. Really appreciate all your support. Again, there will be some content out during the break. I'm sure D will be doing Palace news. There is a watch along for the Cam game in Marbella, which will be fun. I might even jump in on that just for giggles. But thanks, Lou, for joining me. Until next time, up the Palace.